Blank white sheets. Mathematical equations. A WeChat mark suggesting undelivered messages. Hoofed mammals. If you thought the widespread demonstrations rocking the world's most populous nation is solely aimed at its harsh zero-COVID policy, take a closer look at the array of symbols protesters are carrying on the streets of China. A scrap of paper, her mouth taped and hands shackled. A bold statement of outrage at the country's stringent censorship on free speech. And so are these domesticated animals. A sense of heterogeneity runs through Chinese protests. Now spread from the west to the east, north to the south.
It's crazy. I think first it's because of the Xi Jinping, the president. We should end his dictatorship. This is why many people died of him. So, but now it's a good news. Is many people getting to realize the president is illegal.
Simmering frustrations over President Xi Jinping's iron-fisted rule have converged on what are broadly called anti-lockdown protests.
Xi Jinping, step down! Xi Jinping, step down!
The boldest challenge to any Chinese leadership since the student-led agitation in the Tiananmen Square back in 1989.
Surprising in the sense that compared to protests in China in the 1990s and 2000s, and we see a lot of protests, but many of these protests restrain themselves by targeting local officials and trying to express their loyalty to the center. But this time you see slogans chanting like Xi Jinping step down and even some call for freedom of expression.
Since September this year, various events have triggered scattered demonstrations before they evolved into full-blown civil disobedience catalyzed by China's tough COVID measures. Sample them. The detention of an anti-lockdown activist early in September in Shanghai. Starved and censored, anger over food shortages in China's southwest. Student demonstrations over power outages at a university in Wuhan. And this one made global headlines just days before Xi Jinping perpetuated his stranglehold over power as lifetime leader of China's governing party. The Bridgeman protest, the banners on a key Beijing overpass in October called the Chinese president a dictator and demanded his removal. A blow to China's international reputation as the world's factory floor. Labor unrest erupts in an iPhone unit over working conditions there. Another surprise trigger, the FIFA World Cup. Ordinary Chinese people watched the rest of the world rumble back to normal life when they lived a cloistered one for a third year in a row since the outbreak of the pandemic that originated in China itself. And finally, the proverbial last straw. Full-scale defiance boils over after a fire at an apartment in China's far west last week. Broader political demands for a democratic change unpacked in a people's movement in an authoritarian China. With Sai Kiran Kannan, Bureau Report, India Today. If you like the video, do like, comment, share and subscribe.